protesting members of the Petroleum Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria on Thursday threatened to shut down oil production in Nigeria for 30 days if the federal government fails to curb the lingering massive oil theft in the Niger Delta. Members of the union staged protests in various parts of Nigeria, including Abuja, Warri in Delta State, Kaduna and Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Findings show that should the workers implement their threats, Nigeria might lose about 1.37% from the non-production and sale of crude oil, a major foreign exchange revenue earner for the country. Speaking at the sensitization rally that was held at the Delta State Governor's Office Annexe in Warri, the PENGASSAN Zonal Chairman, Prince Audu Osihiokhamele, noted that with concern that the big men doing the business of crude oil theft are in government. He declared that failure by the authorities to find lasting solutions to the menace will push PENGASSAN into taking more drastic actions. And now, Peter Esele, former president, PENGASSAN, joins us on Business Now to look at this. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Peter Esele. We appreciate your time on Business Now.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on this move by members of your union, of course, which you belong to, which of course you headed?
Well, first thing, what they're trying to do is to sensitize Nigerians so that Nigerians are aware about what is happening. And don't forget, unions are basically the primary responsibility of the union is to care for its members. That's primary. Then secondary is to ensure that there's an enabling environment society-wide for everybody to enjoy the benefit of crude oil. So thirdly, they are also a pressure group. So the third aspect of it is what they are breaking to for now, to pressure those in government, to make Nigerians to be aware, to know the dangers that is befalling the country. Before I move on, last month, August, in the history of our country, in a very long time, we had less than 1 million barrels production. And we are having a lot of shorting. And when you have shorting, what happens is that it takes you a while again for you to keep that well functional. And in the long term effect is you're going to have environmental degradation, and you're also likely going to have lack of jobs. Now you are not having IOCs investing in the industry. What they are doing now, they are selling their assets. Mobil are just sold to settlers. Chevron also sold some of its field. Shell is also just recently sold more of its field. So what you are having now is that you are having a reduction in investment in that sector, and that is worrisome to the union.
You think it's worrisome, but the government is looking at that as an opportunity for industry players, especially the domestic players, the indigenous players in the sector. How do you react to this?
Yes, that is what government will say. I'm not against indigenous players coming into the sector. Then what we are also after is let's look at the standard. Now, let's look at the oil spill that we've had manned by indigenous companies. First thing is that when you have an oil spill, if it is Shell or ExxonMobil or Chevron, within 24 hours, you are going to have the media houses filming and reporting what is happening there. But the last one, I don't want to mention the indigenous company who had an oil spill. No media organization was allowed access to that place for over a month. So we are looking at standards, and we are looking at PENGASSAN. We know the standard that operates both in Europe and America. So the challenge we are also facing is that the indigenous company are they going to live by the best practices? That in itself is a fundamental challenge. And these indigenous companies too also have godfathers and godmothers in government. So you really can't hold them to anything. So if you are holding them to stand up to their responsibility, they have somebody in government that would overlook whatever actions that they're carrying out.
Okay.
The last bid we have, it was Shell or Chevron, we would have been hearing people saying they should pay 10 billion naira or 50 billion naira compensation.
Okay, we'll come back to this in a moment. What you think the challenges are, and you of course have said whether the indigenous companies have what it takes to really play in the sector. Again, some people may not want to agree with you about that. But let's consider in a moment whether your association has considered the implication Nigeria stand to lose about more than 1 trillion naira should your association proceed or carry out this threat. Have you considered the implication?
First thing I will say is that I am not against indigenous players in that sector. I support it wholeheartedly, and whether you like it or not, PENGASSAN was also in the forefront for the local content. They were in the forefront. But what we must do is that we must have the standard. So indigenous company should also be held to the standard of the international companies. That, for me, it's one. Then number two, the other aspect you're talking about, whether PENGASSAN knows the effect it will have on Nigeria, we'll lose about 1 trillion naira. PENGASSAN is not saying they're shutting down tomorrow. What PENGASSAN is simply saying is applying pressure, is sensitizing Nigerians and trying to make the government to stand on its feet. You are talking about we lose trillions. Let me give you an example. A tanker, an oil tanker, was recently flagged off, moving 3 million barrels of Nigerian crude heading towards Equatorial Guinea. And the truck, the tanker, has been arrested in Equatorial Guinea with 3 million barrels. Now, $100 to a barrel. That's $300 million. That is just because it was flagged by the security, by the naval rating. So now,
so what can you say?
There are thousands more.
Right. Okay.
There are thousands more.
Okay.
That is just the tip of the iceberg.
All right. This is a sector that you have played for many years. What do you think is behind, or who are the group behind this smuggling of oil or theft that you talked about?
You cannot. It's not going to Balogun market to go and buy crude oil. Is not like going to Balogun market to go and buy cassava. No, it's high tech. So for that to happen, you're going to have three players. You are going to have what are called the non-state actors, who are the cabal involved in that, and you also have state actors. So a collusion between the non-state actors and the state actors result in making effective smuggling.
Okay, let me quickly come in here, Mr. Sele. I mean, you talked about the fact that some trucks or trailers were flagged down carrying, PMS outside the country. Talk to us. I know that. Just a moment.
Crude oil.
Okay, crude oil. But talk to us about. You have the figures. Do you have the figures? How much is involved here? How many liters of crude oil are involved here, or barrels of crude oil are involved here? I mean, how possible is that?
Now, for somebody to move 3 million barrels of crude oil out, on the average, Nigeria loses between 300 to 400,000. Now, let me give you a base. Our installed capacity, OPEC capacity for us to produce is 1.4 million barrels a day. As at the end of August, we produced 937,000 barrels. Now, where is the difference? Where is the difference? One, the difference is going to shorting. Two, is also being stolen. So what you have, on the average, is about 200,000 barrels a day.
Okay.
Minimum.
Now, let's try to wind it down now, Mr. Sele. You talked about the fact that your association is all about pressure, putting pressure on asking the government, to stand up to some of the challenges in the sector. How well is the government responding to your pressure?
The difference is that, of course, if since they started talking about it, was the pressure has been building in the last 2 months. When a union comes out, the union such as PENGASSAN, I've been president, so I know we don't come out to talk, because once you make this comment can increase the price of crude by some cents. So PENGASSAN president don't come out and make this. Now the pressure has been building gradually behind the scene. This was the first time we've heard of a tanker being flagged off with 3 million barrels heading towards Equatorial Guinea, and the Equatorial Guinea government was asked to arrest the tanker. It has not happened. So now is the gradual pressure they are bringing to the fore. So we are hoping that the government will do what is right. How will the government do what is right? Apply technology. Look at the security agencies that are in that sector. And look at what they're doing. Something just happened recently now. They just dissolved I think, civil defense, who were responsible for anti-smuggling or anti-theft of crude oil. Because they themselves are part and parcel of the criminality taking place there. So what the government must do is, one, use technology. Two, anybody who do the crime, ensure they do the crime. Three, whoever is responsible for it within the state actors, relieve them of their job. Four, give the companies the enabling environment for them to police whatever they have to do. Support them.
Okay. You talked about technology in a minute. If you can wrap it up now in 30 seconds. Apart from technology, what other measures would you want the government to put in place? Technology.
Because in this part of the world, Nigerian government always do everything possible to avoid technology. Because technology will take away that individual interface. Technology will take away that interface that leads to corruption. Technology is antidote to corruption. Whoever is involved in the crime, the government should ensure they do the time.
Okay. All right. I think we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Etseli Peter, the former PENGASSAN president. Thank you for your time. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.